Mira schon an.
Ja. Willkommen zu Hause vor den Bildschirmen, willkommen liebes Publikum, Harry Klein. Willkommen zum Harry Klein Kulturdonnerstag, jetzt der 3. in Folge. Und wir sprechen heute mit 2 VertreterInnen von feministischen Kollektiven aus Polen und aus Österreich. Und weil wir das natürlich ganz international tun, werde ich jetzt auf Englisch switchen und wir werden den Talk auch in Englisch machen. That's why I welcome everybody in front of the screens and of course our audience here in Harry Klein. Welcome to Harry Klein Kulturdonnerstag and welcome my guest Paulina from Oramics Kollektiv. Welcome. And welcome Lilly from Girrls. I don't have to, you have to teach me how to pronounce it afterwards, but welcome from Girrls Kollektiv from Graz, Austria. Bravo, bravo. Hello. Hello. Yes, we gathered us together because we want to talk about our work as feminist DJ or music collectives and our challenges, our wishes, our hurdles and everything. I myself am a part of a feminist collective too. I'm a part of Wut Kollektiv and we are mainly based here in Munich. And and I think we have a lot in common and we will talk about it as well. And yes, and I'm really curious about your experiences and your work in your collectives and of course how it's gonna be in a different country. You know, every one of us is in a bubble. We talked about it earlier. And it's really interesting, I think, to like step outside of this bubble and to see how it's going in another country, even if it's also a German-speaking country, but you know, it's also very different. It's a different scene. And and I want to do a little introduction, but not too much because I find it a little bit weird to talk about a person when it's sitting next to me, you know. And but first of all, I want to explain a little bit why I chose this topic for tonight, and I want to show a lot of people how feminist collectives work because, as I said, I think we have a lot in common, but it's also we have a lot of differences. But we have one common aim, and it's to support Flinta and to support queer people and in the electronic or in the main music scene, which is mainly male dominated. And this is, I think, we have all in common. And this is why I wanted to invite you tonight to talk about it. So now, introduction time. On my left side I have Lilly Jagl from Girrls Kollektiv, and now you have to teach me how to pronounce it because I will do it wrong all the time.
So we can try it all together. It's the girls with 3 R's, so it's like and if you put the T and the ELS, then it's like grrrls.
But that's very beautiful.
Yeah, but if you are like angry at all the things you just said, you could be like girls, and that's where the name has its origin from. Yeah.
Okay, oh, that's
it's
very
like
nice to hear.
I was thinking about with your Wut Kollektiv, which means like anger. Yeah,
That's
I think it's like there's one thing we have in common, that we are angry about the situation.
Yeah,
and that we are strong people. We want to change things, and sometimes it's only happening if you're loud and angry, and
And
That's
grrrls. Girls.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Is it okay for you that I pronounce it like Girrls Kollektiv, or is it not?
Yeah.
Or-
It of course.
Because I know I will pronounce it wrong the whole evening.
Yeah.
Girls. No, girls. I can.
I know it's hard for some people, but maybe you can get used to it, and then it becomes easier every time you say it.
I have to drink a lot water because my throat will be moist enough to pronounce it. No, thank you very much for being here, Lily. I'm really looking forward for your experiences and your stories from your work, and I want to talk a little bit about the Girrls Kulturverein you have in Graz. It's based in Graz. It's not a very big city in Austria.
It's not the biggest city, no, but it's the second largest city in Austria. Come on, but it's not that big.
Yeah, but
No.
you have a big university there, so you have a lot of young people studying there.
Yeah, that's true,
I remember that because my cousin actually he studied there.
Like medicine or psychology.
No, architecture.
Architecture.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And yet you are a cultural, you are a Kulturverein.
Yeah.
And you've been promoting women art as artists, musicians, and instrumentalists, and DJs, and this is very important for us. And all your event formats and activities serve to make female or people who feel near the female gender, I think, and queer feminists, music and art visible, and aim at gender equality. So this is basically right what I told about you.
It was really a lovely transcription of the things we say in German.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like that. It basically, that's what we do. We do lots of concerts or DJ gigs. We try to get young women or flinter person to get to know music instruments, like go to the drums and try out drumming, even if you cannot read a scale or have no rhythmic feeling. Just don't give a shit and try it. Yeah. And with everything we do, we wanna show that it is possible for everyone to do basically everyone he or she wants to do. Yeah.
Nice.
And it's like the male-dominated scene. Like I for myself like to do like the punk and hardcore shows, and give the people flinter bands, like to have a role model, because there aren't as many of us, and I think even more important for young people to have a sort of role model. And even with the DJing, and we are getting more and we are getting louder and stronger, but we're not there. We're not equal.
Yeah, and the last talk, and now I have a really frustrating number to tell you. We, in the last Thursday, Harry Klein Kulturdonnerstag talk, we talked about the emotion, anger, and the author of a book sat here and she said that it takes 99 years that we have gender equality now, from now. Like in 99 years. So even my son, who is 1 year old, will not like to live it. But maybe with I will get back to that afterwards. But what really impressed me when I searched for your Verein or your collective, that your existence 2010, like since 12 years now, and this is really important because I know we talked about it before. It's when we started DJing and everything. It's not. So it's a very long time to fight for gender equality, of course, but in a good way. You know what I mean? It's not in the frustrating way I just told. But it's you founded it with
no. I was not a founding member, but I can tell the story. 2 of the founding members wanted to play a show, and they play in a female-fronted band. And they couldn't find anyone to like host them or do a whole evening with just Frauen bands, and then they got really frustrated, and then they said, okay, we will do one concert evening, we will try to do it. They didn't have experience in that field, and then the audience was really excited for it, and people were talking like, when's the next show, when can we see more of that? And then I thought like, okay, we have to do it by ourselves, because nobody is going to do it for us. And that's the reason, that I think really sad reason behind our culture club, to do things nobody else would do for us, or in that case for our founding members. And then it, I think, grew bigger, and we did more things. Or myself, I joined the Kulturverein, then we started with the DJing. We have a really big DJ collective. We are, I think, 11 people at the moment. Flinter DJ collective, and we basically don't have time to do anything else, because the gigs are coming in, and we want to do more shows. We want to do more things, and I hope it's not 99 years. It's like a really scary number.
Yeah, it is.
But I don't think we are there yet.
Yeah, we're definitely not. And how many members are you in the whole Kulturverein?
We are 6 people in the so-called Vorstand, in the
head.
And we have many members. So
okay.
you can get like a membership. You have to pay 10 euros for life, and then, I don't know, you feel more connected to us, basically. And then if you're doing shows which are not free of entry, because we like to do that, if you're doing something different, then they get a reduced fee or something, some goodies,
Nice.
Yeah.
That's super nice. And yes, maybe we all join Girrls Kulturverein. I'm so sorry that I can't pronounce it. I'm really embarrassed about that. And to my right side, thank you so much for introducing, is Paulina, aka Dogheadsurigeri. And she is part of the Oramics collective from Poland, but you will correct me right now, because it's not, but it's main based in Poland, but you are in a lot of countries in Europe. And I'm really happy to have you here. Thank you so much to take your time.
Thank you for invitation. It's really nice to be with you tonight and just share, some thoughts with you. So
yeah, so nice. And we will hear you tomorrow, because you will perform tomorrow behind us in the DJ booth at the Harry Klein Club Night on Friday. So we will definitely looking forward to that. And back to Oramics, which is a very nice name, because it's connected to one woman, but you share it with us right now. But maybe I tell the people something about you.
Sure.
Yes, you are a Polish DJ, but you're currently based between London and Den Haag, I think. Yeah. And since 2018, you are a member of Oramics, feminist DJ collective, and the Oramics collective is also aiming gender equality in electronic music scene, and you do this also with workshops and with music workshops with synthesizers, and of course with own parties and party formats. And you support other struggling communities, and of course other music and artists from your region. It's mostly Eastern and Central Europe. And as I said, you work mostly in Poland, but also in other countries. So we heard Den Haag in Netherlands.
I would say Oramics is based in Poland, because that's our main focus.
Okay.
The Polish scene is our main focus. So of course the members might be a little bit all over Europe, but it matters in a way, but bringing different perspective, but still the focus is in Poland. And I would say we've been on scene for 5 years already. Oramics was founded in 2017, so it's not 12 years in compared to very long, long time ago. But so it's been 5 years, and I think when we started, the first idea was just like, I wasn't a member back then. I joined a little bit, later, 1 year later. But the idea was just this recognition that, hey, there is something lacking in the Polish scene, you know, like there is a lot of guys playing, or like as we already kind of mentioned, the scene is very male dominated, but these female producers and DJs, they are somewhere. These musicians,
they have to be somewhere.
They have to be somewhere. So maybe we should do something to amplify these voices a bit, or just like at least show them to world, like they exist, right? And I think that was some sort of a starting point to form the collective. And later, during the, of course, during the years, we just really focus on like minorities and struggling communities. So of course, it's not only female, but only LGBTQ communities in Poland, which is very under attack due to the very conservative government and the powerful role of Catholic Church. And then also at some point, what we realize is that geographically, Poland is like located a bit like kind of close to Germany, so kind of is close to Western Europe, but not really, you know. And
like in between.
Exactly,
like,
it's in between, but we share the experience, like we kind of call it Eastern Bloc, right? Because the experience of communism and this like economic backwardness, it's something we share together, like as a bloc of different countries together. And at some point, I think we came to this realization when we were thinking that there is something also wrong with our scene, that we, for instance, we have headliners from London or Berlin, and we pay them a lot of fee to come play to Warsaw or like any other city in Poland. And then the fee they got is, for instance, like the amount of money like person earns a month, right?
Yeah.
In a regular job. So we're sort of thinking, okay, this is a little bit problematic to us, and like why we praise this Western artists so much, and maybe we should actually try to focus a bit on our region, because how often do you hear about some Polish DJs being mentioned in a resident advisor or like in Fact magazine or something? Like not really, you know, like, or how many Ukrainian artists or musicians you can name. And now of course it's due to the war, it's a bit, you know, it's changing, but still, like, or like how many Serbian artists, like, you know, like no one knows about that, basically. There is no coverage.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
So I think over the also pandemic, like, we shifted a bit, like, towards like the various local scenes and trying to cooperate with different collectives and different bookers, promoters, clubs, in industry within our region. Which is also interesting because it's, you know, we're discovering a lot, right? So, yeah, that's in a very nutshell, I would say. What Oramics is trying to do. Of course, we do a lot of different things. We kind of started, I would say we are a collective, but we work more as a platform.
Okay.
Which by what I mean that we try to share platform with others. So we run a podcast series, which is like just to expose and like to give a space to other female or queer or non-binary musicians or artists or DJs who wants to just like put their music there, and it's some sort of archive. Of course, we run DJ workshops, but not only, like Ableton, music production, synthesizers. So a lot of like, I even did a record box workshops, also how to prepare like before your that was an online format. It was during pandemic, so it was actually, it fit pretty well. So we're trying to also see how we can share as much knowledge as possible, and on top of that, we did. Let me think. We are also trying to build some sort of resources. So we have a website, and we do some research, and then we try to put it out in the world so other people can actually make use out of it. For instance, what we did is we build, it's a very still project in progress, it still needs to be like kind of finished, but we did this map of queer/female DJs in Poland. So there's literally like a Google Maps with pins, you know? And then let's say you're a promoter and you're like thinking, oh my God, I don't know any female DJ in my hometown.
Classic.
And then you can actually go, like it's here to help you, right? So you can maybe use it, and like, so it's some sort of a resource also for the industry, which can get something out of that. and which I think is very useful, honestly, very, very useful. And then we also did this investigation 2 years ago during the pandemic. We just took resident advisor podcasts and mixes, Fact Magazine, and I think Crack Magazine. I have it in my presentation, but I don't remember now. I think it's Crack Magazine. So we compared 100 last mixes they released by countries of the artists' origins to see where the artists where they are coming from. And of course, the results were pretty terrifying, pretty horrible. That mostly the two main, mostly it's UK or United States.
Okay.
And you have I don't know, resident advisor over 100 mixes. They invited 3 artists from Eastern Europe, and then it makes you think that inviting someone to record a podcast you don't really have to pay for this person to come, right?
Yeah. It's super basic.
Exactly. It's just you don't have to pay for flights or for accommodation or for the fee kind of thing. It's just an invitation, and then you just give a platform. So there is no financial burden involved. And then we were thinking, why then there is no representation,
Yeah.
Why the scene is so westernized, and what is this Western gaze, and how we can oppose maybe a bit, or just ask a question, because that's weird. So yeah, that's a lot of things I touched upon, but I don't know how to now.
No. That's fine, because I basically asked you what you do at Oramics, because I introduced you, but it's a lot what you do. So thank you for the overview what you gave us, and a quick note to what you said. I think it's terrifying what you just said, that there are 3 artists from Eastern Europe and 100 mixes, and I think that it's one thing that the promoters are making it's so easy to themselves, because they always look around and just what's near to them. So and this is maybe one of the same things that they do with Flinter artists, because the male colleagues are so near to them, so they just look around 1 meter away from them, and all they see is male colleagues, of course, and then they say it's so hard but it's a huge topic.
But that's also what I think, that's why it's so important, event like we have right now, that even we meet and talk and we share things, but we also build a network. So it's very important, because further we can make something out of this network in the future. And it's just good to be together, then we are much stronger.
Of course, and I'm so happy that we did this now in an international way, because not last year, but 2 and 3 years ago, we did a connective event on the Weltfrauentag, the World Women's Day, and we organized it from the Wut Kollektiv in Munich, and we invited a lot of German collectives in the first place. So they came 3 years ago. It was before the pandemic. They came to Munich, and then we all sat here. It was about 30 female DJs here in this room, and we all connected, and we had dinner together, and it was such an empowerment event for us. And now I'm so happy that we do this again in a smaller group, of course, but in an international way, because we have to step out of our bubbles. And you did this because of your researchers and your focus on more countries in Eastern Europe, and what you just told us. And you also brought your a presentation about Oramics, or what was it special about the presentation? Because I just think when it's good to show it.
If we can show it now, I can quickly show this research map we did. So it's just 3 maps, so we can also have a visualization of what I'm talking about.
Perfect, that's nice.
So I would just jump. It's just basically a lot of different things, but we can ignore that for now. And so this is the podcast research. So basically how visible our scene actually is. That was our research question. And here you can see that, of course, we did it 2 years ago. So I don't know how they progressed over the 2 years after this, that we would have to look into again. But for now, we can see that Resident Advisor released 4 mixes, Crack Magazine 6, Fax Magazine 2, and these are probably one of the biggest magazines or platforms related to music industry or electronic music industry. And what I said, like, basically, why they still promote people from 1 or 2 regions only. And then here you can see is a map. So I can zoom in a bit, and nope, I'm not gonna zoom in. Okay. But here you can see that, for instance, in Crack Magazine you have UK, United States, right? Fact Magazine, United States 40%, UK 20%. And again, Resident Advisor, exactly almost the same 2 things. United Kingdom 60%, and United States 25. So it's a bit sad, right?
It's sad. It's just UK and United States. So basically. Like it's almost 100%. Yeah.
So so that was a bit this is a different thing, but that was a bit something concerning, and I think it really revealed the structure that something is deeply wrong, because when you actually go into and check the things, or it's almost like you are going to checking the festival's lineup, if it's the balanced lineup. It almost like exactly reveals like how much promoters care about like bringing the equal amount of female, male, or like queer people to the lineup, or like people of color, or like so that was a bit
this
something.
Is concerning.
This is something concerning.
I have a question. Did you search for Flinter artists only, or did you all?
I think it was in general.
In general.
In general, yeah.
Okay. I think when we if you had looked just for Flinter artists, it would be way
probably
less. That's really and this is this is also one of the problems, and it's super small number, even when you look at all genders, and when you just look at Flinters, it's way less. And I prepared. Oh, thank you so much for showing us. It's a quick thing. What is our main topic, of course, in all our collectives. In the introduction, I said it. We have basically the same aim, that we all aim gender equality in electronic music scene or music scene, and it's super important that we show this in facts, like the fact study of female pressure. It's a German collective. Then they do research, and they do researches like for years now, and they now can show some facts, and because I've always the feeling that male promoters always do the same argument. It's like, but there aren't enough Flinter artists out there, so there aren't any, so I don't know which or who I should book for my party. So and what you did is the same thing. You showed some facts that, like, you see, it's not that.
But I think it's also a bit what you mentioned, Lily, before about this building role models, I think it's really important, because like I can see it also by myself that it took me years to actually start learning how to produce music. It's because every time, like for me, it was such a like, only guys know how to do that. Like probably this Ableton is so complicated. I'm not gonna get a shit out of it, But that's not true. And it's just like when you see that there's, let's say, okay, artist DJ from my hometown or like from my country made a mix for as an advisor, or is playing in this band, or is like, I don't know, playing an instrument or whatever. It's just like, maybe I can also try to do that, It's just building these role models, because then it opens you this like thing in your head that, maybe I can also try. But if you don't have it, sometimes you wouldn't even think about
I think if you don't
yourself
have
in.
someone, if there aren't any, and you don't have anyone to look up to, why? I don't think any of us, or maybe some of us are, but most of us are too afraid to try something new, something where you don't see anyone doing it who is like you. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's a problem. And maybe for your sheet here, maybe people are from different countries, but it's much more attractive to say, oh, I'm a UK-based DJ or
Yeah.
something like that, yeah? That would be a question as well. Why is that?
Mm.
Yeah, totally. I think it's just like I think in case of this Eastern Europe bloc, let's call it this way, is because all of the media and the media coverage is basically is Western based, right? So
Yeah.
it's mostly it's London, but also Berlin, I would say. So obviously these scenes, they get the most attention, and we all know that people are moving to Berlin very often just to pursue their music careers, and all of the DJs live in Berlin, blah blah. So
That's sad.
yeah, so like but it's a bit the thing that maybe we should build something like resident advisor, but in I don't know, in Warsaw, or maybe in I don't know, in Prague, or you know, in Bratislava or something like, and then have their own media who is like operating a platform who is covering the scene there. But at the same time, of course, like we cannot compare because we are in a completely different position than Western countries, and they have much more. It's much easier for them, of course, to like to build these platforms and to operate. There is much money there, and everything is there. So it's a bit. So then there is a question. Maybe they have also some sort of a responsibility, you know, like to think about how to present other artists and how to make this representation equal. Also, also region-wise.
They are responsible for that because they have the power, you know,
Exactly.
like there is the power. And I have a question how you organize the platform. So you told us about like a data bank. So there are female or flinter artists listed, and can I just put myself in there with all my data, or do you check like this before?
Yeah, so basically how we work is we work per project, right? So let's say that we have a project, okay, Oramics, listen, we're gonna make this map, and then let's say 2 or 3 people or entire collective is just like kind of contributing to it, right? But then of course we had a lot of different projects going on. So this one is still, I think it has a lot of potential, and it could be still developed even like not only for Poland, but like more countries and everything, to just build really big database, like, and people can go there and check, oh, I don't know, I'm going to Austria and I'm actually, maybe I would like to talk with someone from the scene there, and like, oh, I don't know anyone there, and then you go to this map and you can check that, oh, there's this and this collective, and that's nice, right? So, but this is something you need money for, resources and time to also build that. But for now, how it works, we just kind of made this like roughly the list, and people can kind of submit themselves if they feel like. But it's not, I wouldn't say it's very, it still needs to be finished or like well thought, you know. But that's a starting point. It's idea is there, and that's already something to think about in the future, I would say.
And I think the map idea is very nice because Female Pressure did the kind of thing like this, like they have the lists and they have a lot of countries in their list, so you can search for flinter artists in all over the world, I think. But it's for example, we at Harry Klein here, at Mary Klein, we want to start it as well. We do also start a data bank for flinter artists, or like we pronounce it like all person who feel like near to female gender, and let's see. But you can submit by yourself as well, so it's not curated, you know, like nobody from us sits there and double check which person is submitting there. So let's see how this is going.
But just a quick thought to all male promoters out there: if you're not sure about a flinter person who is DJing from, let's say, Poland, just Google it. That could be a starting point to like Google female DJ, techno, and hit enter, and then let's see, because the argument, there are not enough Flinter artists, it doesn't matter in which musical style, out there, and then we do the work for them basically. We say, let's see,
the sad thing
we are
about
like
it.
100,000.
Yeah.
But okay, then they can pick and choose, something like that. But I think the argument that there aren't enough, that's not true. It's just laziness. It's just like, as you said it before, it's a boys' club. And now for us, we are only booking ourselves. Haha, we're doing the same thing basically. But
it's a power thing, you know. Like
yeah,
when you are in a patriarchy system, you just like, we are not out of the system, so we use the same codes and everything just for ourselves, you know. As you said it, we
let's do it 2,000 years and then we're there.
Yeah.
And then we're like,
but that's very interesting because we just run an open call for Oramics because there are only 4 of us right now, and we feel like we need more people because there is more coming up, and it's just very also exhausting, you know, like activism is just very you need a lot of support also from your group,
and it's always underpaid.
Exactly. So it also gets frustrating. It might get frustrating at some point. So we just run an open call, and in Poland to Polish people, and we said in the open call that please submit your proposal if you would like to become a member, if you identify as a female or LGBTQ member, right? So if you are from these communities, and then we got this guys who are commenting, you know, on Instagram or in the social media that it's discrimination towards guys because why we don't want to work with male people, you know, why we don't want to work with men. And it still exists, you know. So it
still exists in their heads, and they are a lot of questions from men in via social media. For example, we experienced that at Wut Kollektiv as well, that they find it discriminating that we book only Flinter artists at our own parties, or that we discussed it in the collective as well, and we discuss it all the time, of course. If we want to make parties in the future where the guests are Flinter only, and cis males are not welcome just for the specific parties, because they are welcome all the time, you know, it's once a month or something that they're not welcome, and they 360 days a year they are welcome. And even there are men who are arguing that it's sexist against men, that we want to exclude cis male guests. So it's an ongoing discussion. But what you just talked about, your organization, what you just said you are 4 members, that's not very much because of all your work and all the work to do in the future. That brings me to my next question for you both, because I find it very interesting also for the audience. What is a feminist collective? You know, that's a big question, but how do you organize? Because we get a lot of questions via social media, for example, for Wut Kollektiv, how can we be part? How can we be part of your collective? And how do you organize? You just said you made an open call. Did somebody, except of the men, responded to that? So are you more than 4 now?
I mean, now we are in the process.
Okay, this is a process now.
So it's a process, but of course we did receive some applications, some emails who are interested. But the question you want to ask is, what is a feminist collective, or what is your both collective organized? So you are separated in a lot of different countries in Europe. So do you have a Zoom meeting every once a week, or how is it organized? How can the audience be this is how to be in Oramics? It's a bit, of course, challenging because we don't live in one city, so we have to meet each other online, and everyone is not. We are, of course, obviously not a fan of that. But well, how we work. So I would say that Oramics is a pretty interesting body as a thing, because we all come from a completely different, maybe not super completely different, but we have different backgrounds. We have some of our members have more of a like performance artistic based practices, more of a like a gigs, almost like a thing. Some of the people were involved in building a techno scene in Poland like for the past 15 years or 10 years. So like for instance, I was raised, this is maybe too bold to say, but like I grew up more like in an experimental club sound. So that's how I kind of emerged. And so we are all very different, and it's interesting because I'm learning a lot from the other members of Kollektiv. So I would say we are we are just open for many different voices and practice, basically like music practice and like DJing practice, or however you're gonna basically put that in words. And of course, because of that, everyone has a bit of a different focus or like different things which are bringing inside to the collective. There are people who are like very political activists, like, hey, let's write let's something. We also write, right? So let's write a piece about this Eastern European bloc and like how it affects the scene and blah blah. So we have this. There are people who are like really like more like down to earth, like hands on. I love for like making workshops, right? So like let's organize a workshop. So I would say we just meet like every now and then online and see what's like on the plate and how we can push it. So for instance, more recently what we did, like we have this podcast series, but we also have a special dedicated podcast series. So the one we just kinda, it's still not there yet, it's still not in the world, but it will be soon, is the Hungary series, because also, I don't know if you are aware of that or not, but in Hungary recently they also had the elections, and no one really talk about Hungary in a way. Like
that's crazy. You just we will bring it up, but
the country itself is really like the government is awful, and what they do to like towards minorities and like the group there, it's just like it's awful, but there is no media coverage about Hungary at all.
Especially in Germany, and that confuses me a lot.
That's confusing. Even in Poland, like I don't think Poland even like, Orban did something. Okay, fine, that's it.
Everyone
so, So we just thought that maybe that's something we should maybe expose a bit. So usually how this like kind of dedicated podcast series work is that we just pick, let's say, 4 or 5 artists who are contributing a podcast to our mix to our podcast series. But then on top of that, we are trying to also talk with these people and interview them and like tell me a bit, because I also don't know, right? I don't live in Hungary, so I don't know. But I'm also happy to hear about these experiences and how the scene looks like. And then once we have this, we are trying to always push it into word as much as possible, reach to media and just send it all over, or like publish it somewhere and just promote it so people can actually also get some spotlight from this scene. So for instance, that's our most recent thing which is going on. So I would say, we have online meetings, then there is something on the plate, we divide the work and see how it goes, basically.
That's nice for 4 people, and I mean what you just told us. It's very much work and a lot to do, and of course it never ends. Like you always have the feeling that it's so much because there's so much to do, I mean it's a lot of work.
It's really a lot of work, and the thing is that. In Poland, we don't really have any support for that. So that's
what my second question
is very frustrating because the only fundings I think we got so far was like from more like not government related. Let's say you have some left-wing oriented initiative or like a fund.
Like an organization.
Like an organization,
yeah.
and then they announce their own open call, and then we are like, okay, let's apply, and then we got the funding, but it's never from like state-based subsidy, you know, or state like owned. So it's a bit difficult because it really makes you feel like shitty sometimes, you know,
and not seen. Of course.
But I think it's just part of the reality you live in, you know, like this is Poland and like they're not gonna support you, so like it's like, all right, it's very difficult to actually get this piece of a cake, you know. But it also makes you sometimes even more like even
to
more
focus
like,
more.
Exactly, to focus more, or even more like bring the change because it's really needed, you know.
That's very different in Graz, I think. What you or what I saw about the or what you told me about the Kulturjahr, was it like that, or Kulturmonat?
So in Austria, we
How's
are
it there?
Yeah, we are fortunate. We get funding in the cultural field, but mostly in the like high, you know, Austria, Mozart and stuff. Yeah, things like that really get the money. The big houses, the big productions, and for us, we are really small. And we are doing mostly work in the subcultural field, so it's not, they don't hand it to us like that, yeah. But it's easier, that's true. But for the work we do, for all the organization and stuff, we are the least, so we think, we have to pay the room, we have to pay the artist, we have to pay this, and then on the last step, it's the Kulturverein.
Yeah.
So maybe if you're really lucky, if you have a cool project and it gets funding, then we can say, okay, now it's my payday and now I can cash in. But yeah,
that's not very common.
No. And I think for nobody in Austria in that particular field,
Yeah, that's very good that you bring that up. That and you said it before, that activism is very exhausting because it's always underpaid. And I don't know, I have to like express it one more time for the audience, and especially for the people who cannot imagine how to work, how a collective work. It's always work. It's like 7 days a week work. It's not that we have an office that we close in the evening at 6 p.m. No, it's constant work, and it's always underpaid or not paid. This brings another point, and then I come to the Kulturverein, that it's that we're always struggling, all in our scene, in the feminist scene, that we're all struggling with a lot of frustrating work, but we are driven by a motivation that we want to change something in the system, and it's sometimes I have the feeling that it's like I don't know how to express it very good, so. That the people, or the majority of the people, say, yeah, it's good what you do, like thumbs up. Nice work, nice job, ladies. But like they are very lucky that, they think they're very lucky that they have some feminists that they do the work, you know, and but they wouldn't ever give us money for that. Because it's totally out of their thinking, that such work should be paid. Yeah,
I think that's in the cultural field.
Yeah, that's common.
Let me speak for everyone.
Yeah,
it's like that. And even if we had like an office to close up, which we don't, we would still go home and think about it some more. Like you said, the work really never stops, or you have to stop it. You have to say it.
And that brings...
It's my free time,
Yeah, and that brings another problem, because, like in the male-dominated scene, it's always like, you can do it, you can do your feminist stuff and everything, so, but don't bother me with that. So and the works never stop, so the activism never stops. So because it's an intern, like I said, it's an intern motivation that drives us, so... Yeah.
But I just wanted to mention one thing here that I think is also good to talk about healthy practices inside activism, because for instance I went for a burnout and I've been for half a year completely out, which helped in a way, but the burnout was very like at the edge. And what I learned from that is that sometimes you also have to treat it a bit as an office. I know it sounds stupid, but like sometimes you have to do, okay, listen, this week I have 3 hours. I'm doing this Monday from 10 to 11. And then, I don't know, maybe on Sunday I will sit on that again, like I can work on that again, kind of come back to this, you know. But for the 5 days I'm not there. I'm in the chat. I see what we're talking about, but sorry, I cannot contribute any work. And I think this like very healthy division of like, basically this like of projects and like work inside the collective is very important, because otherwise you just don't want to lose people, you know, because they are getting burned out or something. And that's the first thing. So I have the feeling sometimes people are like really have this messianic approach that they have to like, oh my God, I would do
if
everything.
I'm not doing it, nobody will.
Exactly. And sure, of course, you can put yourself in that situation if you want, but I would say it's not healthy. And it's
mostly women have that.
Exactly. And it's something we have to discuss also. And like the money-wise, for me recently is also like, I think it's honestly, you have to also talk about that. For instance, let's say if I get a grant, right? Okay, we receive a grant, but please secure this amount of money to pay for the members, because I don't say it has to be a lot, you know, but just anything, because then these people feel like at least they have
a value,
any financial reward.
And
let's be honest, but like cultural field is just like broken in a way, and like poor, like it's not. We are not talking about, you know, like Elon Musk yacht or anything like that. So it's also good to be paid. It's just a natural thing. So I think that labor is also a very important thing to talk about.
Absolutely. The first talk we had here on Thursdays, I told you about the awareness and safer spaces thing. One of the speaker told me like, this is not the first time, but she was so surprised that she get paid.
Me as well.
Yeah, and you said it as well. Yeah.
I was like, oh, traveling costs are covered. Nice.
Yeah. And but that should be the normal thing.
If you have the money for it. Yeah.
If you have the money, but that should be the normal thing as well.
Of course.
And of course we talked a lot about how the funding or not funding in the specific country, but that's that's where we should approach that there is public money left for not only higher culture like the classic or classic music, so for subculture and electronic music as well, because it's growing more and more. And but how is it with Girrls Kollektiv? Now I'm getting to it. Do you know how the founding was from the collective, or do you know those stories? Was there any
super fun stories as well?
Of course,
from Austria.
But was there any skepticism or even resistance in Graz when they founded the
because
collective?
the female, let's say, give them a bit of money, they can do some concerts or show or whatever, and then
they're silent.
Not silent, but then we can make a big announcement, and we are doing so much for female artists and blah blah. For us, it was like until I would say maybe next year, because we haven't done it yet. We always ask for amount of money from different places, and we were like, we're gonna ask for more than we really need, because they are gonna give us less.
Smart.
That's smart.
But then let's say we wanna do 5 concerts and like a DJ workshop and and we need 10,000 euros for that. And then they would give us, for example, 5,000 euros, and we were like, thank you. And we did the whole program, everything we had planned, we did. But then you have to like, you cannot give the artists, the amount of money you wish to give them, or you have to do stuff DIY style because it's much more cheaper or whatever. So you find ways around it, but it's really stupid because, as I said before, we didn't pay ourselves anything, and after one whole year of many hours putting in, when you then get 200 euros, you were like, wie cool. Yeah.
Finally, I got to this point in my career,
which is really crazy. Yeah. And so for the future, we really want to do it. We really want to see how much money is getting in, how much can we get from it, how much do we need, because we're all doing it in our free time right now.
Yeah, it's not free time, but
no,
it's often seems like that. Yeah,
but it's like a shot in the heart. If I have to think about which show I cannot book, what thing do I have to miss for myself because I cannot simply afford it. Yeah. It's like a question for you: if you wouldn't get funded, would you stop Harry Klein? Would you stop it? Or would you say we are motivated, we will still,
Yeah, we are motivated even without funded money. That's a really good question. If also Peter would sit here, he is also a big part of the organization of Harry Klein Festival. The festival took also place without funded money. Because it has a lot to do with the entry and for the club nights, but of course such program as we do here wouldn't have been take place. So that wouldn't have been possible without funded money.
Of course,
that's true. The club nights are possible without funded money, but all the side program like this panel talks, or of course the DJ workshops, or we have also an open space for newcomer DJs who want to simply train themselves on the setup. They can come here on Tuesdays, so the club is also open on Tuesdays.
Okay.
So but this is all very important stuff and very important side projects for the whole aim and for the whole festival. If we only had the club nights, but not only, because it's very important too, but the funded money is
I was only going for think about yourself. We are all sitting in the same boat. If we didn't get money, I think, but let's see what the future brings, but I think we would do it without the money. Because it would be so sad to see stuff gone simply because of money, because it's not true, But I think if you're that into it, if you want to keep on going, then money-wise, it's like, it's another obstacle in your way.
And then I don't know how is it with your beginnings in the scene, or it's sometimes I had the feeling in the past that I didn't want to ask for money, this is I was like, I will do it, like stuff for
so I think that I think all of members of Oramics, we did a lot of DIY things in the past, and or too much, stuff for free, and we are still doing a lot of it. It's not like we stopped, but at some point I think we learned how to sometimes say no, okay, listen, people, we don't have now emotional capacity for that, to just carry on with this project, and maybe we just have to say no. Because otherwise, if we will force ourselves, it might be more of a it hurts, Also the collective, it's frustration, people getting tense. We don't want that energy. So I think sometimes it's smarter to just give up on something. But it really depends, because there is a difference between running a festival or a gig or an event and between doing something online, right? So that's what I mean, that it's also about making choices, how much you can contribute your time into specific case, because of course I can sit in front of my screen and write 5 emails, you know, it's fine.
Yeah.
But maybe running an event that requires a little bit of more things to do.
But that brings us to a next point, that because why we need those infrastructure then for own events, for example, we simply have to get in the male dominated scene, you know, like we have to ask clubs and promoters who are mainly male gender, so this is what makes this a little bit difficult. What's your like opinion for that? Because you know, you said Girrls Verein just started with this big problem that they didn't found a venue, I think, or was it like
who wanted
to host them?
Host the evening, basically. Yeah.
So this is, I think, another big point that we have to get in the male-dominated system. You know.
Yeah. So I think in the spirit of how the Kulturverein was founded, we love to do things DIY. We really love it. We have ideas and maybe nobody has any clue how to do it, but then together we can say, yeah, okay, let's try it. Let's see if it works. If not, okay, we're that wiser. But I think the DIY thing, it's not unprofessional. I think that is something we had for a long time in mind, for like asking for money, because if you learned it by yourself or you learned it from someone else, but you don't have your degree in how to host a cool punk show in town, so maybe that makes it more difficult to ask for money or to know how much it's worth actually.
Yeah,
that's
true.
I agree. But totally. I also think that, for instance, in my case, I learned a lot when I left Poland and when I moved to the Netherlands. So when I moved to Western Europe, basically, I realized how people value themselves there and how different it is in compared to Poland.
Yeah, okay.
And then
That's interesting.
because I saw other friends, right, from the scene in the Netherlands, for instance, like how much they ask for a gig or like how they just like behave, you know, and they don't have this weird, this like being thankful for whatever you give me, you know, like no, it's just like you ask me for something, sure, but then there is an exchange, right?
Yeah.
So it is
labor.
Exactly, it's a normal thing. And then I kind of realized at some point, wow, I like it. I mean, it's new for me and I like it, and that's exactly how it should work. That you should also value yourself. And once again, I'm not asking about a yacht, you know. It's not.
Well, it would be nice.
Would be nice, of course. I would have a yacht, but one day maybe. But yeah, it's just like it's all because what I think is it's also about building a good practices inside the scene. We have to pay people, even if you don't have money, or either make it clear for the beginning or say, hey, or I'm gonna pay you only maybe 100 euros, you know, because that's maximum I can. But at least you're contributing a gesture. You're making a gesture.
Yeah.
And it's also about these practices, you know, because if we're gonna do till the end of our days free work, then no, we have to at some point start changing it. Also, for instance, I would love to have like we have podcast series, right? So you even are asked to contribute a mix to some platform, or you're asking other people, hey, could you record a mix for us? I think I got paid once for making a mix. It was because exactly, that's what I mean. And I think it's a great also like practice, because you spend some time on that. You have to make a selection, you have to think about
time and music, you know, the music costs as well.
And music costs as well, and like 1 hour long mix is not like,
but it's maybe does it make a difference who is asking? Because
of course.
We have a radio show on local community radio in Graz, Radio Helsinki, and we invite female DJs as well to do a mix. And we don't have any money. Nobody gets any money. So I think maybe that if you can make it transparent, if every side knows, okay, I'm not cashing in and not giving you anything, but I think the
No,
big
totally,
players
yeah.
are often
Yeah.
those ones who are not gonna give you anything,
Yeah.
and then you have to like weigh in like, is it that much exposure for me? Do I get super promo or whatever? Maybe
Yeah. No, I totally
Yeah.
agree. What I'm trying to say is, of course, like we also can't pay for mixes, you know. But that's my dream. I would love to. I don't say a lot, even something, but like, I just think that would be the ideal world if I can dream
Yeah.
about,
Yeah.
like, to also have these practices. And what's funny, for instance, I got paid by a German institution. You know, so they also got, it was a cultural institution, so they got some sort of a funding or like budget, and they paid me for the mix. But when you think also about big platforms
Yeah.
who are releasing big names, I mean, these platforms have money, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like-
and it's the way around. I think I think the thinking of the bigger platforms, or when they invite you, it's like you have to be thankful to
Exactly,
contribute a mix for them. In exchange, you get a really big platform with a lot of
Yeah, because like local radio, of
Research,
course,
yeah.
I think we can compare. We also have a nice community radio, Radio Kapitał in Warsaw, and like, of course, Oramics has a monthly show there, and of course we
nobody
Yeah.
is talking
Exactly.
about
Yeah.
money.
but it's
even,
a
yeah.
community driven. It's like more like
Yeah.
building a network of thing. So
Yeah.
it's always a question of who
asks.
who
Yeah.
is
who is
Yeah.
asking? Of
Yeah.
who
course.
is there. But it's just like, I think it would be just really it's if we're asking about dreams or this ideal practices, I think that would be really nice.
That's what I was about to ask in the next person. Thank you for giving me the hint. Yes, because our time is almost up, and I just wanted to ask both of you what your wishes and what your not only wishes, also expectations are, because I always find it very important to ask about expectations. You know, like not that I always wish for that. So I expect the scene to do this or that.
Okay.
So who wants to start?
So, if it's okay,
Go.
I can do a bit of advertisement from my
Yay.
culture club. I have this lovely flyer here for Stern Festival. Yeah, you know.
Again,
Girl from
the
Stern. So next week on a weekend, we're doing 2 days of cultural festival. We are doing a lot of things. There will be bands, there will be performances, literature, everything you can think of. And it's 100% finta and queer booking, which is like, that is what we want. That is no, it's not true. That's not what we want. We want
Okay.
equality. We want to invite the cis male dudes. Yeah, but until we are there, until we get recognized and we get appreciated for what we do, we wanna like turn it around, and
Okay.
we do like 100%. And we want to hold like this stupid argument, we heard it before, there are no females, blah, blah, blah. We want to show there are enough. We had problems in the musical lineups. We had too many good ideas. We had too many great artists we would love to invite, but it's only 2 days. Yeah. So just, I hope everything goes as planned. We're doing it the first time because DIY forever. And
How many artists will perform there?
the lineup is big.
It's really pretty big, right?
I think in the music department, on the so-called main stage, we have 5 on each day, I think. 4 or 5 on each day. It's a lot of them, yeah.
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 So you already did invite a lot of Linda artists.
Yeah, and there are so many. Yeah.
yeah.
And this is
Isn't
mainly Austrian-based, I have to say.
Okay.
But yeah, we're mainly doing stuff in Austria. So just
Yeah.
to show that
Yeah.
there is plenty of things, and just for us, for like a little, we can have. We don't have to dream about it. We can do it. We can make it happen, and we can try like a little bit of trial and error. We are doing it the first time, so let's see. But yeah, that is my greatest expectation for next weekend.
Nice.
To make it big and make it beautiful, and so let everybody see it is possible.
It's a good example
Yeah.
and a good starting point.
Yeah,
Nice.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lily.
Okay.
What are my expectations? I have a lot, but I would narrow it down.
Focus on the main. Or no,
yeah.
you can bring them up, all of them. I think. We have
I
time.
think for me, like the biggest points recently is like this, like when you have big players in the music industry, so that they are aware of their position and how they can also pay attention to other like people from different regions or maybe a little bit of a different scenes or sub scenes, and how to also expose them. So basically going outside of bubble, and that would be one of my wish. The other one would be like to these scenes who are maybe operating in less developed countries, like financially or like more financially struggling, to really focus on local scenes and trying to really build them strong and build a network inside the local scenes and promote your local talents, because these talents exist.
Yeah.
But if you're not gonna promote them locally, who's gonna do it?
Yeah.
You know? If it's not going to be your club, your venue, your promoter, your people from your network, basically. And so I would say this locality and like this, like being aware of like where do you stand, and what's your position in the like world scene, industry, whatever. And yeah, I think that would be my two biggest wishes.
Biggest wishes.
I would like to see some sort of a change, you know, in the next years. And because after pandemic, everything feels a bit accelerated now.
It's a lot going on, and it's like everyone is focusing on doing party now and doing events, because there was such a big pause on it.
It's a lot.
Yeah, and we have to be, and that's my biggest wish. Thank you. Do you have another one?
No, I'm great.
No, then I will finish with my biggest wish, that we have to. I hope that everyone is going to be more aware in this club scene and in the club culture, and to be aware of power in this one position, in the structural and organization part of the club scene, and to be aware as a guest and in a dark dance floor, and to be aware of boundaries of myself and the boundaries of other people. So this would be my biggest wishes. So structural side and guest or dance floor side. And I thank you both very, very much to contribute in this talk. I found it very interesting. Thank you, Paulina. Thank you, Lily. A big applause.
Thank you to you too.
Danke, Lily.
Danke euch. Thank you very much, and thank you, of course, the audience here in Harry Klein, and greetings to all our viewers in front of the screens. I hope you enjoyed the live stream, and you can watch, of course, it via YouTube in the future. So we will post it there and keep it on our YouTube channel, because it's a very important topic, and you can't talk about it enough, but we did a little bit and just picked a few topics, but the very important ones, and that's what I wanted to thank you about. And next Thursday, we have also a very important topic and very interesting. We talk about white privileges in club culture, and with two representatives of BPOC collectives from Germany, from Berlin. And and I'm really looking forward to that. It's also going to be in English, so my second talk in English. I hope it's going to be as fine as this one. And now here in Harry Klein we have a DJ set from Larry C now, and we will enjoy that with a few drinks, and we will see each other next Thursday, and goodbye. Bye bye. Thank you.
Cool.
Thank you both.
Danke.
Yes, thank you so
Thank
much. Was it enough that you showed from the
It's
presentation?
fine. It's great. It's okay.
Okay, that's good.